UFC Austin has come to a conclusion, which unfortunately means we only have two cards left this year. Upcoming this weekend, we've got Song Yudong taking on Chris Gutierrez, which has been moved to the Apex, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. But before all that, we've got a recap and we've got some matchmaking to do for UFC Austin, so let's get into it. We've gone 5-7 this week, which is legitimately by far my worst card of the year. We didn't do good at all. The ones I swung and missed at big time were Julia Avila over Miesha Tate, Puna Soriano over Dustin Stoltzfus, Kelvin Gastelum was a big miss, and Rob Font. Those ones were just not good reads for me. We'll just go through and talk about those because the rest of them were pretty straightforward. We missed on Horth, but that one I felt like if she'd pushed the pace like she did in round 3, round 2 is an easy win for her. Turman got caught with a big shot. He was looking quite good, which is what I thought. I thought he was going to be able to sustain that or work the grappling in with that, but got caught with a big shot. The Reese Brundage one, same as the Close Selecki one. Like, I picked close, but I can't really take credit for it because, I got the winner right, but neither of those fights went, I don't think, how anybody thought they were. So those two were big slams off arm bars. You can't really predict that. It would be insane if somebody did, but it is what it is. Bellotto, easy. Like I said, close was the slam. Can't really do anything about that. Joaquim Silva was always going to beat Clay Guida. Guida actually still got that dog in him, which is crazy, but he still does. Jalen Turner put the work on Bobby Green on a full camp. I was quite confident in that's how it was going to play out, but with the shortened camp and him seeming not so interested in media and fight media all week, I was a little concerned, but still got it done. And then Arman Tsarukyan. I thought he was going to be able to beat Dariush, but I thought we were going to have a dog fight in the first 2 rounds, and it was Tsarukyan's pace and pressure and cardio that were going to be able to do it down the stretch for him. But man, he flatlines Dariush, and the chin's looking a little shot for Benny, so that's unfortunate. But Tate Avila, I thought Avila was going to be able to kind of catch Tate with those flurries as Avila jumps in, and also Miesha Tate's entries had looked so poor recently. I thought as she was coming forward, Avila was going to be able to step back and hit her with shots coming in. That was not the case, a complete misjudge there. Miesha Tate got the takedowns, got a lot of control time, and it was really an easy fight for her. Soriano Stoltzfus, Puna is just adding nothing to his game as of recent at all. He comes through with the same game plan every week, he doesn't fight every week, but every time he fights, no matter the opponent. And Stoltzfus, crazy to say, Stoltzfus just looked a little bit more dynamic with him working in the body kicks. He was touching Puna up, he even dropped Puna, which is crazy to say, but good performance from Stoltzfus. Soriano, he doesn't look like he has that like dog bite down on your mouth guard anymore like he used to. I don't know what happened, but unfortunate for Puna, couldn't get that one done. KG and Sean Brady, it was going to go that way, or it was going to go how I predicted with Gastelum stuffing takedowns and being able to work him on the feet, or Brady being able to get the takedowns and having a lot of control time, and that's how it went. He did end up finding that round 3 submission. Great performance from Sean Brady. It was actually, he really needed that considering how his last fight had gone, to show people he was still in this division, really in it. But Kelvin Gastelum coming down to 170 really got thrown around. And the grappling, there's not much else to it. Unfortunate result on my end, not from Sean Brady, but very good performance from Sean Brady. He definitely did what he had to do. And then Rob Font Figueiredo, that one hurt. The makings of how I thought it was going to play out, it looked like it was there to be had, but it didn't go that way. I really thought with Figgy kind of stalking forward with his hands down, Font was going to be able to jab his face off. Rob just really wasn't throwing it like he normally does. Everything that came through, all the big swings, he was getting touched by. Figgy got a few takedowns. Rob was able to get up like I thought. I thought Rob was going to be too big, but really the power advantage and the new power Figgy was facing that I was putting a lot of stock into apparently just did not come to fruition, did not matter as much as I thought it did. I could have been severely overvaluing the Rob Font's power after the Adrian Font knockout, but Adrian Yanez knockout, but it is what it is. We miss on that one. Definitely have to come back way better. We missed Savage rounds too, so we've got to go 3 for 4 in December. I had Rob Font and Tsarukyan, so obviously the Tsarukyan hit, but like I said, the Font was just a complete misjudge on my part. Now let's get into some awards. Fight of the night. This one was easy. A lot of finishes. There weren't really too many back and forth wars, but the one that was Ihor Potieria, Bellato. Ihor Potieria looked great. This one, when I broke it down, I said Poteria's going to be a lot faster. Still has decent power in his hands, and he looked faster in round 1. He was able to tag Bellato in round 2. But also what I said is if Ihor can't get it done early, the gas tank will fail him. That is a consistent fact, and the gas tank failed it. Bellato went in there, put it on him after being able to survive a knockdown. Great performance, great back and forth war. It was a fun fight for sure. Performance of the night now. I think the UFC or Dana gave literally everybody that got a finish an award or a bonus. I always say award. I don't know why it's bonus. A bonus. So I only picked 4. I narrowed it down to my 4 favorite. 2 that seemed pretty obvious that I had to go with: the slams. Drakkar Klose, Cody Brundage, both guys getting put in arm bars or triangles, changing to an arm bar. You know, they were both in there. Both pick their opponent up in back-to-back fights, mind you. You can see them right there on the schedule, the picture. Klose comes out, slams Selecki, gets the knockdown, or gets the knockout. Very next fight, Brundage does the exact same thing, put in an armbar, picks him up, slams him, knocks him out. So that was pretty cool. And then my 2 other favorite knockouts or finishes, the ones I would have given bonuses: Jalen Turner. Man, the right hand to wobble him, had him doing the chicken dance, the right hand to put him out. Sick knockout. Awful stoppage by the referee. As soon as that second shot hits and Bobby Green goes limp in midair, that fight should be stopped, even though he hits the ground. And he clearly is back awake. He has no clue what's going on. He's getting hit and he's just covering up. He's not intelligently defending himself. He's not trying to get out of the situation. He's just trying to not get hit. So awful stoppage from the referee there. Bobby had to go out a second time, which is very unfortunate to see. But yeah, I know Dana talked about it too. The ref knows he made a mistake, so at least people aren't trying to defend. He's not trying to make excuses. He knows he did, or he knows he made a mistake there. Next up, last performance bonus. Like I said, I only went with 4 since Dana gave one to everyone. Main event has to be Arman Tsarukyan. A brutal finish, great finish. And just the circumstances around it. Arman's top 5 now. I believe he stepped into the top 5. He's got a big fight coming for him next. Not that Dariush wasn't, but he'll have a real big name across from him next time out. Winners, I believe I picked 3 this time. Hold up, let me open up my thing. We're going Sean Brady, Deiveson Figueiredo, and Arman Tsarukyan. Most of them, obviously, the wins were all great, but it mostly has to do with the surrounding circumstances for each one. Sean Brady needed a win. Kelvin Gastelum coming down to welterweight. I won't say everybody, but a lot of people were doubting Sean Brady. A lot of people were also behind him, but including me, a lot of people were doubting him after that last performance. I thought KG was going to be able to stuff the takedowns and give him work on the feet, but Sean Brady came out with a great game plan, was able to get the takedowns, find the 3rd round sub. And now everybody knows he's still in there, still in the welterweight division, still in that mix. For Figgy coming going up from 125 pounds to 135. I thought he was going to be too small. I had concerns about the power translating. And I had concerns about the guys at bantamweight having too much power, being too big, being able to overpower him, and I was just completely wrong. He was able to get takedowns, even though he wasn't holding Font down for long periods of time. He was able to get those takedowns to kind of mix up the game. His power definitely still carried. He definitely wobbled Rob a time or two. And, Rob Font just wasn't able to overpower him. The power wasn't too much. He wasn't too big. Figgy looked good performance, and now we see him break in. I believe he's like 8 or 7 or something, so now we see him into that top 10 at 135 pounds. Some very interesting fights you could make for him next. And then, obviously, Arman Tsarukyan, big knockout against a big opponent, gets to move into the top 5. Huge fight on the horizon. I feel like it had to be these 3 for the winners of the night. Bad night. You can see them all there. KG coming down to 170. Just got nothing going. It was a really poor night from him. Bobby Green. This is mostly for getting beat on while he was asleep, courtesy of the referee. So that was just bad. Like, obviously the performance was unfortunate and he got knocked out, but outside of that, the stoppage, I mean, completely unnecessary for him to take all those extra shots. And then last up, obviously Beneil Dariush, second first round knockout in a row. The chin's looking like it's starting to go. He's looking slow, old. It's just not good for him. So unfortunately, Beneil Dariush has to join the bad night list. Lastly, we've got matchmaking to do. I've picked 9 fighters from the card. We're going Jakar Close, Kelvin Gastelum, Sean Brady, Davison Figueiredo, Rob Font, Bobby Green, Jalen Turner, Beneil Dariush, and Arman Tsarukyan. We're going to do matchmaking for all of them. Talk a little bit about who their next opponent should be. First up, Jakar Close. He is coming off of I believe that is a 3rd win in a row. It's either 2 or 3 in a row. Hasn't been super active. Taking him, I won't say like a lot of. I mean, he's taking quite a bit of time off. It's definitely due to injuries and stuff. He's not just taking time off, but it's been a little bit. Another guy who I kind of feel is floating in that like 16 to 25 range, like right outside the ranked area, top 15. Thiago Moises. I think this would be a good matchup. Both guys are real close to, like, they've always, these two, not always, but these two guys for quite some time, it feels like they've been sticking right around outside the rankings. Jakar Close's opponents have, in this little 3-fight win streak, have continued to take a step up in level. Brandon Jenkins, Rafa Garcia, now Joe Selecki. Thiago Moises, 2-1 in his last 3, with wins over Christos Giagos, Melquizael Costa on short notice, up a weight class. And then obviously that loss last time out to Benoit Saint Denis. I feel like these two guys are kind of, I don't know, their paths just feel like they're kind of crossing for me at this point. Jakar, towards the latter stages of his career, trying to keep that win streak going, get a 4th win. If he beats Thiago Moises, maybe he gets a shot at the rankings next. Maybe he's 1 fight out from that shot. And Thiago Moises needs to get a win back after losing from Benoit Saint Denis to kind of stay in that 16 to 25 range, and try and get back into the rankings because he's been in and out for a bit. I think this would be a sick fight, and obviously whoever wins would kind of get to take that next step up towards the rankings. Next up, Kelvin Gastelum. This is a weird one. So I made a fight for him at 170 pounds, assuming he stays, but I don't know. I think like maybe his thinking was he's going to go to 170 pounds. If he gets this win, he goes on this last little run at 175 pounds, feeling good. I mean, I know the cut sucks for him. Maybe now that he's lost, he's like, whatever, now I'm just going to keep fighting to get money, to pay the bills. So maybe he stays at 185. I don't really know what he's going to do, but I'm going to do 170 pounds. Why not? I think he's 14 ranked at 185 pounds right now. He's slipped down even with a loss at welterweight. If he was at 185 pounds, he would probably be defending his rank right now. He'd be fighting somebody outside the rankings looking to creep in. And so I'm kind of just putting him in that same situation down at welterweight. It's a fight right outside the rankings. Whoever wins is as close to the rankings as you can be without being in it probably. And that would be Joaquin Buckley. He's 2-2 in his last 4 wins, or 2-2 in 2022 at middleweight. Joaquin Buckley is beating Al Hassan and Duraev, losing to Imavov and Curtis. That was at middleweight. Now 2023, he takes that step down. We're here at welterweight, 2-0, beats Andre Fialho, beats Alex Morono, and 2-fight win streak, looking to make that 3. And Alex Morono, he had just recently beat Tim Means. Before that, he'd lost a fight, and right before that, he'd been on a nice run, so he's got a decent win in Alex Morono there. He's creeping towards the rankings. KG hasn't really established himself back in the 170-pound rankings, so I think this is a good fight to make. I won't say like the winner automatically gets a ranked fight, but whoever wins this is pretty close to a ranked fight again. I think this would be a sick fight too. Good striking battle, obviously. Joaquin would probably look to mix in the grappling there. So it'd be interesting to see how Kelvin handles that. Next up, Sean Brady, getting his win back at welterweight. He lost, very odd way to Bilal Muhammad. He got put on skates by Bilal Muhammad on the feet, which is kind of crazy to say, but it happened. After this fight, everybody knows Sean Brady. I won't say he's like everybody is back on the undefeated hype train that he had rolling before, but everybody kind of knows he's back. He's still here to play. He's not completely out of it, and even after one loss. But I think just a lot of people were counting him out after a knockout loss to Bilal Muhammad. But there's two guys I think would be fun fights for him. One guy he called out, Ian Gary. He's got Vicente Luque to take care of, obviously. So I think this would be a fun fight if Ian Gary is able to get that win. He's undefeated in the UFC so far. Sean Brady only with one loss, two up-and-comers. And Ian Gary really, truly hasn't faced a through-and-through grappler. Obviously, Luque is a good grappler, but he doesn't, that's not his main game plan. He's not going to go out there to grapple Ian Gary. He's a striker who's also very good at jiu-jitsu. And Sean Brady, that is posing a completely different threat with the wrestling, with the grappling. Striking obviously isn't the best, but he's not going out there to strike with Ian Gary, most likely. And then next up, if we don't get this fight, or the timelines don't match up, because Sean Brady's probably fine, so I don't know, maybe these timelines don't match up. If you can't get this fight going at some point next year, JDM. He's coming off 2 split decisions, his first ranked win in Kevin Holland most recently, and he's undefeated in the UFC as well, has looked very good, but has run into some trouble recently. Also has not faced a through-and-through grappler this strong. Obviously, he faced Amiev, but it was not nearly to the same level that Sean Brady will be. Sean Brady, obviously, he's not elite on the feet, but he's decent on the feet for a through-and-through grappler. The wrestling, he's a solid wrestler, but the jiu-jitsu is where he really gets it done. If he can get your back, it's over. We've seen JDM in some precarious situations on the floor early in his career, so it would be very interesting to see how he deals with an elite grappler in Sean Brady. And obviously, Sean Brady having some troubles with Bilal Muhammad's boxing. A guy like JDM, if he's not able to get JDM down, he's going to have some real issues. So Ian Gary, JDM, whoever's available, whatever time frames match up the best, I think you make that one. Next up, Rob Font got pieced up by Davison Figueiredo. I think there's one guy kind of down in that, below 11 or below 12. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what he is, but he needs a big fight. I'm very high on him. I like watching him a lot. Jonathan Martinez. He lost to Davey Grant on in March of 2021. 6-0 since then. His last 3 are wins over Swanson via round 2 leg kick TKO, Said Nurmagomedov unanimous decision, which is a very good win, and most recently Adrian Yanez round 2 also leg kick TKO. So the dude's on a tear at the moment, beating Adrian Yanez and Said Nurmagomedov. Very good wins back to back. Rob Font coming off of 2 losses in a row now. He's kind of looking to defend that top 10 ranking. And Jonathan Martinez is looking to break into that top 10. So this is a fight I'd love to see. I think it's winnable for both guys, but I think I'd slightly favor Jonathan Martinez, or at least off the dome right now. That's who I would pick. But yeah, I think this would be a really fun fight. Next up, Davison Figueiredo. This is the one everyone's been talking about on Twitter. As soon as I saw it, I jumped on the bandwagon. You've got to go Peter Yan. This fight would be absolutely sick. Both guys, decent offensive wrestling, but it's not their main point. I mean, obviously, Figgy's submission game is far superior to Peter Yan, but they have a different kind of offensive grappling game, but they both have it, both use it decently, but on the feet would be very interesting. The boxing and the Muay Thai from Peter Yan moving forward, Figgy stalking, looking for the big shots. Would he be able to crack Peter Yan's chin? A lot of questions to be asked, but this would be an absolute banger, so I'm all here for making this one. Please get this done as soon as we can. Obviously, Peter Yan's been on a little downward spiral. I believe he's 1-4 in his last 5. Obviously, his last loss was to the champ, Sean O'Malley. He hasn't fought since then, so would love to see him back. If he can get a win over Figgy, that's a good win to kind of restart your streak, try and get back into that top 5. And if Figgy's able to get the win, adding Peter Yan to your bantamweight resume next to Rob Font is a very good start to your bantamweight career. Next up, Bobby Green. And this is a weird one because the bottom of this division is all kind of jammed up with it being like Dan Hooker, Jalen Turner, Drew Dober, Benoit Saint Denis. Like, there's a lot of weird fights that could be made, guys that have fights made, guys that are just coming off. So, like, the timelines all feel a little mixed up. But one that makes sense to me that I kind of sat back and thought about, Paddy Pimblett. Now, listen, I think the idea here, and I mean no disrespect to Bobby Green by saying this, but I think they want to get Paddy Pimblett into the rankings as cleanly, as easily as possible. And this is a way, this is the easiest way, I'd say, that is available to them. If he goes out there and beats Tony Ferguson, he's on a decent win streak in the UFC. Obviously, I'm talking about Paddy, he got the robbery versus Jared Gordon, which he didn't win that fight. He didn't. But regardless, we're here. He's got Tony Ferguson coming up. If he wins against Tony Ferguson, especially if he gets a submission or something, I see no reason, and I'm not saying it should happen, but I see no reason why the UFC won't say, oh, Paddy's on this huge win streak. He just beat legend Tony Ferguson. He gets a ranked shot now at Bobby Green. Bobby Green would definitely take that. Huge name, Paddy Pimblett. Paddy talks a lot of shit. He would love to beat him up probably. I think this is going to be the UFC's way of trying to sneak Paddy Pimblett into the rankings, unscathed, kind of. Like, I think the UFC would see this as the easiest path for him and kind of a way to slingshot him into the rankings so they can keep throwing him on pay-per-views, keep hyping him up, keep trying to build him up. And to me, this seems like a very fast-tracked way to do it, but it's totally something I could see the UFC doing here. And the timelines match up. Bobby Green's going to need a little break after getting his head punched into the canvas. And obviously, Paddy's got Tony Ferguson coming up. Did I write down the date? Yeah, 12/16, so that's the last card of this year. We could totally see this fight in March or something. UFC 300. There's a lot of things that line up with this fight that make sense on why the UFC would want to do it, but I could totally see this happening. It would be very funny if it did. Now, next up for Jalen Turner, Beneil Dariush is going to be right after Jalen Turner. I have the exact same two opponents for both guys. I think both make sense. You could go with either guy. You could go Benoit Saint Denis. So for Dariush, I think the thinking would be, or I'll start with Jalen Turner since he's on the screen. For Jalen Turner, he lost to Dan Hooker. He comes back, takes a fight on short notice against Bobby Green, somebody ranked below him. He gets the win. Before he gets that next step up, a big fight above him, somebody fighting down. Maybe they want him to get on a streak. You gotta try and build yourself up a little bit. So they take Benoit Saint Denis at 11 and Jalen Turner at 10. Benoit's 12, Jalen's 10. If Benoit wins, he gets to keep moving forward. The hype train continues. If Jalen wins, that is a sick win on his record. Stops a big hype train. Not all the hype transfers to him, but I think that would be a huge boost for him in the moment, and he gets to go on and fight up then. Or you go Rafael Fiziev, who hasn't fought in quite some time. He was looking good. Probably should have got the nod against Gaethje. He goes out there, shreds his knee versus Gamrot. On 2 losses, obviously the last loss he can't really do anything about, but on 2 losses in a row, there's no way he's going to be fighting up. Jalen Turner coming off of a win. They're looking to get Fiziev kind of back rolling. Again, if Jalen Turner wins, that is a great guy to have on your resume. He gets to keep moving forward. Probably builds a lot of hype off that fight. Rafael Fiziev wins. Also, Jalen Turner, great win on your resume. Kind of get to build up. And for Beneil Dariush, like I said, same exact 2 guys, but the situation's a little different. It's not like you could build up either guy here. I think for Beneil, his time is probably over as a big contender. He's starting to look old. His chin is shot. And the UFC never really seemed intent on giving him a title shot. They always kind of found a way to have him fight one more fight, and now he's on a 2-fight losing streak, getting knocked out twice in the first round. I think they could see this as a way to build up Benoit Saint Denis. He gets a big finish on his record, and obviously Beneil maybe shocks the world. Maybe he's still got a little bit in him, but this is just how I think the UFC would look at it. They can use Dariush to build Benoit, or use Dariush to kind of get Fiziev back on track. That knee injury, he needs to get a win to bounce back and kind of start building again. I could totally see them seeing Beneil as like the puppet to that. So I think for Jalen Turner, between these 2 guys, it's more of a really good matchup. Whoever wins, they can build off of. For Beneil or these two guys, it would be kind of trying to use Beneil as a stepping stone to get either one of these guys their next win. Next up, the last match to make, we've got Arman Tsarukyan. This one felt pretty straightforward to me. I think there's kind of like a little four-man situation going on. You've got Gamrot, Arman obviously, and then Gaethje, Poirier. I think you probably go Gamrot, Poirier. Gamrot coming off of that win against Fiziev. I'm pretty sure that was his last win. Hold up, I could pull it up right here. Gamrot's sitting at 5. Yeah, last win over Fiziev. Before that, beat Jalen Turner questionably. Before that, lost to Beneil. But I think you do that fight. I don't know if beating Fiziev with him blowing his knee out grants you like a title eliminator against Gaethje or something. So you make Poirier Dariush, or Poirier, Jesus, I can't speak. You make Poirier Gamrot. I think you have a sick fight there. And then you go Arman versus Justin Gaethje. You've got another sick fight to build. The hype around this fight would be insane, and obviously you've got a title eliminator here with Charles and Islam too, kind of waiting in the wings, seeing when that gets scheduled. You'll have this fight made, your next opponent ready. Gamrot and Poirier on the back burner with a fight as well, so it'll kind of straighten out the top of the division. And man, this fight would be an absolute banger. But that's all for matchmaking. We're finished there. Like I said, this weekend upcoming, we've got Sung Yadong taking on Chris Gutierrez. I will have predictions and bets out for that tomorrow, Thursday. So drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys then. Peace.